Let us first invite Sri Hanuman to be present. प्रेम से बोलो पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। आइए हनुमंत विराजिए, कथा कहो मति अनुसार। प्रेम सहित गदीधर पधारिए पवन कुमार। सियावर रामचंद्र जी की जय, शरण शंकर हरि ओम। Come Hanuman, I am about to recite Sri Ram's Katha as far as my knowledge permits me. Please come and be seated amongst us. Take a most wonderful seat and let your divine radiance spread throughout our mandir this morning and into our hearts, O Lord, so that we can accommodate the divine as indeed you have accommodated him throughout every pore of your body. For this we ask in your most holy name. Let that divine love, as you have, spark deep within our hearts, so we can also love the divine Prabhu Shri Ram, as indeed you have. You have set the pace, O Lord. We bow at your lotus-like feet this morning and ask that you grant us that divine gift so as to be able to worship the divine as indeed you have. प्रेम से बोलो पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय. So in the last day, we saw where the reading was kept. Narad Muni was requested to have a reading of Parvati's future. And he saw that there was great things to happen to her. And he pointed out how a great person she was. She would be respected as the mother of the world. And that woman who lived her life, she would be that shining example for all women of the world. And then the father asked, what about what negative effects, are there in her lifespan? But actually, those negatives were not based on her life, but rather what they thought would be negatives in terms of the person whom she would marry. And I said, from her markings, from when she read her hand, from the lines in her hand, he saw that she would marry someone who would be an anchorite, matted hair, devoid of desire, stark naked, and inauspicious guise. They were talking about Lord Shankara, but that is his very nature. So for any parent, they became kind of worried about that situation. But for Parvati, she was deep with love in her heart when she knew that this was the person whom she would marry. Because she saw far beyond what the parents were seeing. And I want to begin from this point. Tulsidas sings in Chaupai. What was the response now with Himalaya and his wife? His wife was Naina. What were they thinking? Tulsidas tells us in Chaupai. Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama. नारद हो यह भेद न जाना।
जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम।
नारद हो यह भेद न जाना। दशा एक हो जब लगाना।
जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम।
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
सुनु मुनि गिरा सत्य जिया जानी दुख दंपति उमा हर्षानी. When they learnt of these negatives, so to speak, Tulsidas says, on hearing the words of the sage and believing them to be true, they know that the sage would not speak untrue words. So what they heard, even though they didn't like it, they had to believe it. Tulsidas said, Dukhu dampati uma harishani. They became very sad. And Himalaya and his wife became sad, but Parvati rejoiced. Parvati was extremely happy, unlike her parents. And Tulsidas is saying, Narad hu yah beda na jana, dasa ekasa mujhab bilagana. Not even Narad could guess this secret, because they did not show that kind of concern. They were that normal. They didn't want to show any kind of feeling of, not feeling well. So they put on a show, so to speak. And they said not even Narad could guess the thinking of their hearts. He said, for even though their outer expression was the same, their feelings were so very different. Sometimes, if you are in an audience or amongst people, even though you are very bothered, you try to put on a good face to show everybody you are pleased. But deep inside, you are not pleased. And they were not pleased because of what they learned, to be what her husband's characteristics would be like. They were not happy about that. But they did not want to show any form of disrespect in front of Narad Muni. So they showed that they were all happy. And Tulsidas tells us in Chaupar, Jai Rama Shri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama
Jai Rama Shri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama.
Sakala Sakhi Giri Jagiri Maina Pulak Sari Hare Jalanayana.
Jai Rama Shri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama
Saki, Girija, Giri, Maina, Sakala, Sakha, Saki. All the friends, all the playmates, Parvati and all her playmates, Himalaya and his wife Maina. That Himalaya is the father, and his wife Maina, the mother, they were all thrilled. And to says, Pulaka Sarir Mere Chal Naina. That their eyes were all filled with tears. Perhaps on a twofold basis, they were happy, but in some way, Maina and Himalaya were deeply concerned. And they are saying, Hoi Nam Nisha Deva Rishi Bhasha Umasu Bachana Hriday Dhari Rakha. That the words of this divine seer, Deva Rishi, the words of this divine seer, Narad, could not be untrue. See, that's the power. Whatever he said is 100% true. Nothing that he would utter would be false. And Uma so bachanu hriday dhari. Uma refers to Parvati. In her heart, Parvati cherished them in her heart. Whatever he said, she knew. And the thing is, when a sage of that nature comes into your presence and gives you a reading, know for sure it will come to pass. And he is a divine seer, Deva Rishi, special person. His presence in your home alone is a great gift. To have any person of great profound knowledge, of highly spiritually involved nature, that person in your home is a special gift. Because very rare do people find themselves amongst the great saints and sages. One of the principles that Sri Ram gave to Sari is to be in the presence of the Sant Samaj, in the presence of the saints. And if you are in the presence of saints, what can you think about save and except the divine? Because the saints only behold the feet of the divine. So whatever their speech, their thinking, everything, their action is always based on the divine.
Because they become enlightened.
They become enlightened. That is why, son, to be in the presence of the saint. So Parvati was deeply pleased because she knows that if this is what I have to undergo, I must be prepared. And she's prepared because she knows, because before she died, this is what she asked her. Before she died, she said, I want to have an eternal relationship with Lord Shiva. And she knew this will come to pass. And if I am with Lord Shiva, then there is nothing that I have to be worried about. But you see, sometimes there are those who are so highly evolved that they see far beyond the normal person. Sometimes we assess a situation, and within the fold of our knowledge, we see certain things. But there are those who see far beyond that. And their reaches are so far, they see the brilliant side of it. We don't see it. So in Chaupas, Sant Tulsidas sings. Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai उपजे वो शिव पद कमल सनेहु उपजे वो शिव पद कमल सनेहु मिलन कठिन भाषण देहु मिलन कठिन भाषण देहु जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय जानिकु अवसर प्रीति जुराई सखी उपग में पुनि जाई जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम
जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम
जय राम जय जय राम
उपजेव शिव पद कमल स्नेही मिलन कठिन मन भा संदेहु. He's saying here that love for Lord Shiva's lotus feet, upajevu Shivapad. Shivapad means the feet of Lord Shiva. It says love for Shiva's lotus feet sprouted in her heart. Immediately, that love for the divine Shivas sprouted in the heart of Parvati Maha. But Tulsidas said, Milana Kathin Man Bha Sandehu. But she feared it would be difficult to find him. Whilst her love was growing, she said it was difficult to find him. And she underwent great penance to get him. So to find the divine Shiva, it is not that easy. Though it was meant that they would meet. But one has to, it is not only she wants to, all of us want to meet Lord Shiva. But it requires a certain kind of procedure, a certain kind of penance, a certain kind of devotion, bhakti. So it's not just easy. The Lord, it is easy to find him. But if we traverse that pathway, we can find him easily. That is deep devotion, truth, sincerity, purity of thought and everything. That is what is required in order to find him. So he says, though her love grew, in leaps and bounds for him, she's thinking it would be kind of difficult to find him. So, Janiku avasaru priti durai sakhi uchang baiti puni jai. Tulsidas says, the thinking, the time was inopportune for this disclosure. She did not reveal to her sakhis, her friends, what she was thinking, because she said the time perhaps is not opportune. So she concealed it. She concealed her love and then went back to the lap of one of her playmates. She finds comfort in everybody finds comfort in their playmates. Everybody have a trusted friend whom you want to release all your things. But even in that playmate, she did not reveal that because she's thinking the time perhaps is not just right or opportune to give this thinking of mine out. So finally in this chaupai, before they do her Tulsidas sings. जूथी न होई देव ऋषि बानी सोचहि dampati sakhi sayani. They are saying here that the prophecy of this divine seer Narad could not be false. Again they repeat it. Because no matter how you think about it, no matter how much they thought about it, they have to come to one conclusion, that whatever Deva Rishi has said, whatever this great noble sage has said, Narad Muni, cannot be false. So no matter how they think, they came to the same conclusion. So they say again, the prophecy of this divine seer could not be false. Socha hidampati sakhi sayani. The thought made the mountain king and his wife, as well as the wise playmates, anxious. The Sakhis and the mother, father, the mountain king and his wife, Maina, they all became anxious. What will take place? What will be this future of my daughter? And Uradhari dhira kahai girirahu kahu nataka kariya upavu. Collecting himself, the Lord of the mountains, as the father said, tell me, holy sir. He's asking again now. He's confused. He said, tell me, holy sir, what remedy should now be employed? What can I do to change the fortune? Could he change anything? And a very great pronouncement was made here. I remember when Swami Maheshwar was given his discourse in one of his meetings with us. He quoted this extensively, this particular duha. And it means a lot. And I want you to understand what duha says. Tusidas says in duha. हिमवंत सुनो जो विधि लिखा लीलार देव जनुज नर नाग मुनि को न भेद निहार सिया पति राम चंद्र की जय उमापति महादेव की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उदय सा जगन्नाथ की जय पिता बलदेव दत्त की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय सियापति रामचंद्र की जय शरणम कहा मुनीश हिमवंत सुनु जो विधि लिखा लीलार. He's saying, the great sage Narad replied, remember the father asking now, what can we do to reverse this? Is there anything that could be done to change the course of what has happened? And in very glowing, expressive terms, Narad Muni replies, Kaha munisha himevanta sunu jo bithi likha lihar. The great sage Narad replied, listen, O Himavant, whatever has been decreed by fate, he says, Deva danuj nar naga muni ko na mitahi ha koi na metanihar. He says, no one can undo. Not even gods, Deva. Danuj, not the demons. Nar, not man, not human beings. Muni, not the munis. They can change nothing. Deva danuj nar naga muni ko na metanihar. He says, no one, not even the gods, the demons, human beings, serpents or sages. Deva danuj nar naga muni ko na metanihar. Nobody, none can change that. You know, he said what Brahma has written here on the forehead, no one can change. One has to undergo that. But by virtue of your living, by virtue of your surrender, things can happen. But that depends upon the Lord's, how well you can serve the divine. That has something to do with it. But other than that, no one can change that. So he made it abundantly clear to the parents, whatever Himawant, whatever has been said, or whatever is written, cannot be changed. Not even by the gods, by men, by the serpents. Nobody can do it. So you see how this unfolds as we go on. And as a parent, if you hear something, if you have your daughter to marry, and there is something negative in some way that you hear, you will be concerned. And every parent would want to do what is best for their child. It's a normal course of human nature. But the larger picture is what we don't see. We only see the immediate picture. Narad Muni, we were told that he knows the present, he knows the past, and he knows the future. And they all came to the conclusion that whatever Deva Rishi has said will come to pass. It will be true. There is no negotiating. Principal Usiaba Ramachandra Bhagwan Ki Jai. To those who have been listening on the World Wide Web, my grateful thanks to all of you for listening. I hope you have enjoyed the katha and that in some way it enlightened you as it has enlightened me somewhat. So thank you very much. Principal Usiaba Ramachandra Bhagwan Ki Jai.
What you were talking about there, when you say fate, it means a relentless law of karma. As we sow, so shall we reap in life. That's what the result of it is. That what they had done previously in their lives. Right, this is the reward that they get. This is what we call fate. But to elaborate a little bit more, it's really the law of karma. When Guha was asking Lakshman, say, how come? What happened to Sri Ramchandra? Why is Mother Sita and they have to sleep under the tree here and go to this forest and suffer all these other things. They say, well, no one is there because it is the law of karma, what was done previously to Narad Muni and give them the, you might say the srap, and so they had to go through that.
Because we all come in this birth, we come with our prarabdha karma, and we have to work out that.
Go to the karma. That's what it is.